The story of cavemen is often imagined as a life of darkness, danger, and mystery. Yet it was far more complex, fascinating, and resourceful than many of us realize. For thousands of years, early humans, Homo sapiens and their predecessors, turned caves into their homes, laboratories, and sacred spaces. Living in the dark was not a choice. It was a matter of survival. And in this shadowy world, humans learned to innovate, observe, and adapt in ways that laid the foundation for all civilization to come. Caves were among the first true homes of humanity. Unlike the temporary shelters of open plains or forested areas, caves provided protection from the elements: rain, wind, heat, and cold. In a world without modern clothing or insulated homes, a deep cave was a sanctuary against freezing winters and scorching summers. Imagine a family huddled in a spacious cavern, the walls echoing the soft noises of life. The rocky surfaces offered natural seating, sleeping areas, and even nooks to store food and tools. But caves were not simply empty shells. Early humans learned to modify their environment carefully. They would clear away debris, smooth out sleeping areas, and position their living spaces near natural light sources or air shafts when possible. Even the darkest, most inaccessible caves often contained small entrances that let in sunlight during certain hours. Through trial, error, and keen observation, cavemen learned to map the caves and exploit every natural feature for comfort and safety. Life in a cave meant living in low light or complete darkness for most of the day. Without torches, candles, or electricity, the human eye had to adapt. Cavemen developed remarkable awareness of shapes, shadows, and textures. They could distinguish the outline of rocks, tools, and even moving animals in near complete darkness. Their other senses, hearing, smell, and touch, became heightened. A crack in the floor or a faint echo could warn them of danger, a predator, a falling rock, or even a rival group. Fire was their first true ally against darkness. Learning to create and maintain a fire was revolutionary. A small hearth near the cave entrance provided light, warmth, and a place to cook food. Smoke, however, posed its own challenges. Ventilation was crucial. Some caves had natural chimneys or openings, but in many cases, early humans had to figure out where to place their fires to minimize smoke buildup while still illuminating the interior. Fire became central to cave life, illuminating paintings, guiding children, and deterring predators. Caves were not only practical, they were social hubs. In the dark depths, families and small groups gathered to share food, tell stories, and teach skills. The darkness itself encouraged intimacy. Without distractions, the mind focused on voices, gestures, and tactile communication. Children learned essential survival skills: how to identify edible plants, track animals by sound, and maintain fire. Elders passed down knowledge through storytelling, ritual, and demonstration, ensuring that every member of the group could navigate the dangerous world outside. Interestingly, this social adaptation also influenced early art. Cave walls became canvases, lit only by flickering firelight, where shadows danced over depictions of animals, hunters, and symbolic shapes. These paintings were not mere decoration. They were tools for learning, memory, and communication. The dim glow of the cave made these images almost magical, teaching lessons of hunting and survival, marking territory, or connecting with spiritual beliefs. Hunting was vital for survival, and caves often served as strategic bases. They provided a safe retreat where families could rest, while hunters ventured out during the day. Many caves were located near rivers, forests, or plains, ideal for observing animal movements. Hunters developed keen senses of timing, sound, and smell. Returning to a cave at night, they could track prey from footprints, broken branches, or distant echoes. Caves also allowed for early forms of food storage. Perishable items could be kept in cooler, shaded parts of the cave, while stone containers or pits stored nuts, seeds, and dried meat. They even discovered natural refrigeration. Deeper areas remained cooler, helping preserve food. Over time, these practices became sophisticated, ensuring the survival of the group during lean seasons. Living in darkness came with danger. Caves were sometimes shared or contested with large predators like bears, lions, or hyenas. Early humans learned to identify signs of these animals: scratches on rocks, the smell of fur, or the remains of other creatures. The cave entrance became a checkpoint, guarded by vigilant members or dogs, if domesticated ones were present. Inside, humans relied on fire, sharp stone tools, and group cooperation to defend themselves. The ability to live safely in a cave required constant vigilance. Sleep was often light, punctuated by alertness to unusual noises. The cave was a fortress, but one that demanded respect and awareness every moment of life. Caves demanded innovation. Beyond survival, they were laboratories for early technology. Cavemen experimented with fire in different ways: torches, hearths, and even controlled smoldering pits. Smoke patterns, light reflections, and fire management became skills passed down generations. They also learned how to make tools that aided in navigating the darkness. Stone knives, axes, and chisels were used not only for hunting and carving, but also for modifying cave interiors, cutting wood, shaping hides, or creating simple furniture. Stone lamps filled with animal fat and moss, or wick-like materials, allowed light to persist without constant fire tending, demonstrating early inventiveness. The darkness of caves naturally evoked mystery and awe. Many cave paintings, carvings, and symbolic objects suggest that early humans considered caves sacred. The echoing chambers, the flickering firelight, and the isolation created an environment ideal for rituals. Some researchers believe that caves were the first temples of human civilization, a place where survival, art, and spirituality intersected. Rituals might have involved dances, chants, or symbolic acts near the painted walls. These practices strengthened social bonds, taught moral codes, and passed down cultural knowledge. In essence, caves were classrooms for both survival skills and early human thought. Living in darkness and isolation was psychologically demanding. Cavemen had to adapt not just physically, but mentally. Humans are social animals, and long periods in caves could feel lonely or confining. Interaction within the group became crucial. Play, storytelling, and communal tasks helped maintain morale. The rhythms of work, rest, and teaching structured the day. Interestingly, this environment may have sharpened early humans' imagination. The interplay of shadows, echoes, and flickering firelight could have inspired the creation of myths, legends, and imaginative thinking, an essential step toward complex human cognition. Education in a cave was hands-on. Children learned to identify dangerous animals, edible plants, and effective tools through observation and practice. Lessons were tactile, feeling the texture of stones, observing fire behavior, and listening to instructions over the murmur of the hearth. Cave walls themselves became teaching tools. Diagrams of hunting strategies, herd migration patterns, or animal anatomy were etched or painted for visual learning. Even without written language, these lessons persisted, shared across generations. Today, archaeologists and historians can reconstruct cavemen's lives by studying caves. From paintings in Lascaux and Chauvet to remains in Altamira, caves tell stories of innovation, resilience, and adaptation. These early humans were not just surviving, They were observing, experimenting, creating, and learning in darkness. Caves were the laboratories of early human ingenuity. Life in the dark honed senses, fostered creativity, and strengthened social bonds. Every shadow, echo, and flicker of fire contributed to the survival of humanity. In learning to live in the dark, cavemen learned to live fully, laying the foundations for art, culture, and civilization itself. Living in caves was a triumph of adaptation and human intelligence. Cavemen faced darkness, danger, and uncertainty every day. Yet, through ingenuity, cooperation, and imagination, they turned shadowy caves into homes, schools, workshops, and sacred spaces. They learned to hunt, cook, store food, navigate darkness, and pass knowledge through stories and art. The legacy of cave life is not only the survival of early humans, but the birth of human culture, creativity, and ingenuity. The darkness of the caves did not stifle them. It illuminated the path towards civilization. In understanding how cavemen adapted to life in the dark, we glimpse the remarkable resourcefulness that has defined humanity for tens of thousands of years.